Good morning, good morning. How are we doing today? I hope everybody's doing fantastic. Let's go, let's go. What a day in the market already. The market is dropping to start the day here today. SPY is actually moving through support. We're starting to fall down towards 680. Wondering if we're going to see a bounce, but I don't think so, given the way we're seeing this opening move start to play out here. Hope everybody's having a great day, though. Market's been pretty bearish lately. It's been making for some fun trading opportunities lately. Hopefully some of you have been taking advantage. I know there are a lot of put players out there. What's up, Zachary, Xavier, YouTube, Sharpie, Almighty, Tangy, Wes, Zach, Manicured, and Alexander. What's up? Good morning. Yeah, SPY breaking down in a pretty good fashion here. 680, giving out. That is rough to see. Aoli, Jake. I like that name. Aoli Ravioli. SPY, though, on a very, very critical area here. I have the Mag 7 set up right here. I just wanted to show SPY right off the bat, but Google moving down. Amazon's down 4% today. They have earnings tonight, but Google's down 7%. Tesla's down 2.3%. Google's earnings have not ended up being very good, at least on the overall move. They're going to like double their AI spending next year. They do have Gemini and a few things that, you know, obviously could benefit from AI quite a bit. I wonder if that'll end up paying off. Seems like right now there could be a little bit of investor spook going on. I got a new shield. Oh, I got you. On my screen, it still shows the wrench. That's funny. Peloton died. How about Palantir? That one's been pretty fun lately. Down again this morning, but attempting to hold its ground and come back. There's a big resistance around that 140 zone. Of course, we're being mindful of oil lately as well with the Iran situation. Yesterday, oil cooled off a bit. I'm not surprised to see it down again today. There could be some opportunity in possibly playing a bigger downside move with oil as well. It's hard to say how these talks are going to go, but they're scheduled to meet tomorrow. The U.S. gave in, it sounds like, to Iran's demands. Tesla's dropping through $400 here this morning, though. Another brutal breakdown there. It actually held at 400 yesterday, but today breaking down again. This is a big area of support. Check the off topic. Oh, yeah. Yep, it does show a shield. That's pretty cool. Why doesn't mine show that? I like that 400 area, though. Watch it as Tesla tries to pop. That'll be a big one. In pre-market, as it broke 400, it came up for a retest and rejected pretty quickly. Not very surprising, though. That's a big level. Good morning, Joe Papa and Maddie. Welcome in. Rick as well. How's Nvidia this morning? It wasn't really changed that much. Wasn't really moving too much, I should say. Yeah, nothing too crazy here with Nvidia so far today. What about AMD, which has had a lot of price action and craziness? Down again a little bit today, but since opening up, nothing too crazy. We have SanDisk here. SNDK fell down to 560 this morning in pre-market, but since opening has been bouncing back and made it a bit harder to trade here. Pretty choppy. Yeah, Tesla even. How about some of the rare earth stocks? USAR, which can be fun. I know Tangy Man's in here. He said howdy. CRML maybe. How about TMQ? Nothing there. About the nuke stocks. Nothing there either. Cruise lines moving higher. How about the airlines again? UAL maybe? Nothing. LUV. It's been pretty hot in the short term. From opening, nothing too crazy. A lot of downside moves today, of course. HIMS did have a good move this morning. I was wondering what was up with that overall HIMS move. I don't think that they had earnings report. Let's see if there's any news with HIMS. There has to be. I just didn't see it. They expand their weight loss specialty to prescribe compounded semaglutide pill. Semaglutide pill? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Hims and Hers to offer copy of Novo Wegovy pill for $49 a month, Reuters reports. Ooh. So they're like copying the Wegovy pill now. Okay. I know Lilly had a pretty good move yesterday. They are pulling back, though, in a hard fashion this morning. Gonna be a no play there. Netflix found a bottom, you think? Netflix moving 2FX says 3.4% on the day. Pretty good price action. Yeah, Netflix is definitely in play today. I would continue to possibly look for a scalp opportunity here. With how much it's moved up already, I would make the play quicker rather than longer. Faster rather than slower. Guess is a good way to say it. Let's go back to Mag 7 for 1 second. Because a lot of these are popping back now. It's a really good comeback, actually. Not gonna lie, I'm getting beat to hell everywhere, Tangy Man says. Hey, I'm not surprised. You know, a lot of these stocks are down in the short term, and, you know, a lot of people are, right? How's UPS today? Probably down. Yep. Even UPS is down today. Walmart's actually up in the green, though. Just a little bit, 0.5%, but it is up. It is up. That's funny. You know, Ray, that's a pretty valid point. You know, the SPY has been pretty choppy on the way up. I think it was fun post-October, but especially heading into this new year and like maybe December, it was, I think, a bit underwhelming. INTC's up. Let's see. Oh yeah, 49.60. Intel is starting to really recover here. That's a great move. How's that daily chart looking? Nah, not the best in my eyes. Seems to be roaring up off of this 2-day dip though, which is nice. So help support the uptrend. But yeah, Intel had a lot of momentum there. $50 is about to hit. That'll probably be a area of resistance people are looking for here. Neo's up 7%. They move quite a bit. You know, they're a big mover, but 7% still pretty solid. Take Two Interactive up a little bit today. Not much, though. CVS Pharmacy. CVS actually does have pretty good movement. Pretty good PA up to the high of day so far. Up 2.3%. Definitely not bad for CVS. I like the way it's holding its ground, too. It's not the worst move that we've seen today. Could be some opportunity scalping it up maybe on like a high of day break, something like that. Let's see what it looks like on the daily chart. Kind of a weird setup, but definitely a good recovery day. So could be where we see the overall move continue. Very interesting setup there. Back to Tessie. 401. Rejecting down now. Recovery effort might be kind of tough. The 400 zone still is acting as pretty solid resistance. The good guy bought Google's dip. Let's see. Oh, wow. Wow, that must have been a fun trade. The good guy bought Google's dip, and Google is roaring back to life today. I know they were down a ton at open. I remember announcing it at first. This is a 6% pop with Google here today on this earnings recovery. And they're not even fully recovered. They're just kind of close, right? it's pretty wild. Yeah, I would say that is probably one of the best moves for sure. That's funny. SPY's starting to recover up kind of like that too, if I'm being honest. It looks pretty solid. If we go to SPY and we look at it like on a daily chart, you know, that's testing like a major trend. Now this trend is not perfect, okay? It's just kind of like a rough, it's just like a rough line, just kind of identifying the trend rather than being like a super consistent line. But we are seeing, you know, the SPY start to bounce here a little bit back up. This is going to be a very interesting next couple of days for the SPY and even for the rest of the day today. You know, if we have a pretty bad move that like solidifies this trend breaking, I think that would be a terrible sign. You know, now again, at the end of November, we did see a lot of shakiness and chop around the trend where there were some massive candles that dipped under, but it didn't really continue down. So, you know, again, it's not like a super accurate line. It's just more of like a representation of, okay, we're generally in an uptrend here. Are we going to break that uptrend and truly start to downtrend like in a bigger fashion? Maybe even, you know, coming down to test like 652 or maybe even lower, you know, at some point. That's what I think the big question is here in the short term. And I guess, you know, you can place bets on it, right? In some types of ways, place trades. You could do prediction markets, but I wouldn't do that. At least not yet. Yeah, that's great. Google's really helping the SPY though come back a bit more. But looks like Google ran into a bit of resistance. A big red candle just hit. It had a ton of green candles in a row though on the 1 minute. I mean, that was really good from 932 all the way up to 944. There was only 2 red candles, so like 2 out of 12 were red. Mr. James says, every dip I buy keeps dipping. Good morning, everyone. Every dip that you buy keeps dipping. Ah, too bad you didn't hit the SPY. He goes, I know, right? How about Palantir again? Whoa, now that's a chop zone. Looks like a violin. Or a harp or something. Back to Tesla. It's kind of holding its range. How about these MJ stocks? All right, we're going to the scanners today, see what we can find. A lot of slow price action today. I'm going to be honest. I don't feel like that there's a ton of great momentum out there. Now, Netflix was one of the stocks that had some really good momentum earlier today. Looking at it right now, it's starting to dip down. There could be a buy the dip opportunity for a larger uptrend throughout the day today. So if you're looking for that, you know, maybe you could hit it off of like 82.20 to 82 around that zone for a possible dip buy. You know, you might want to be safer than that. Maybe not. Might depend on your risk profile. But I do like it for a possible dip buy for a point later on today. See how soon it starts to really bounce or not. I would prefer to see the bounce happen and then see a confirmation back up. Man, Palantir. Quadruple bottom this morning. 4 different touches essentially at like 134.50. Sorry about that, guys. All right, checking back on SPY. Looking for some news here today. Not really seeing like anything in the news. Something that I did see is Bitcoin was falling down quite a bit, though. Back under 70,000, but now it's actually back above 70,000. Nonetheless, though, we can see how low Bitcoin has been becoming. That is a massive sell-off that's been taking place with Bitcoin. Wow. That is huge. What about Quantum today? RGTI, QBTS, QUBT, all down there. What about SMR? New Scale Power. SMR is getting risky. Getting risky on this overall trend here. Oh, we might see a much larger downtrend come into play off of this. How's SNDK looking? Back to the upside. Whoa. Now that's a nice pop today too. Let's see. Pretty much like from around open to the high of day, up 9.5%. Nvidia's coming back. Okay. Yeah, Nvidia's been trending up fairly well from open. SMCI had earnings yesterday. They're dropping down 6.8% here. Well, technically, it was Tuesday night. Sorry. Dropping down quite a bit, though. SanDisk. This is a big level, 620, but again, trending very well from the low of day today. We know how SanDisk has that potential to move. Tonight, we're going to be seeing Amazon reports, so be ready for that. We all know how big of a player Amazon is. Affirm will be a fun one too, and Bloom Energy, so AFRM and BE. Those will be fun reports. AFRM's down about 2% today. Looking at the daily, nothing too crazy right now. It's starting to break through support though, so if this is a bad earnings and it starts to fall through support, that might really solidify a big breakdown, and you know, I would even start to look at possible downside moves there. MSTR is going to be reporting too. Now, this has been a terrible stock in the short term. MSTR down 8% today. And if we look at it from like its peak in 2025, we'll just say right around August to where it is now, the stock has fallen 74% in essentially like 6 or 7 months. That is a massive downtrend. Coinbase, similar move. Let's see how much they're down. They are down 63%, so not quite as bad, but still a similar pullback here. And they're following the negativity with Bitcoin, because even Bitcoin is down a lot. Most people don't realize how much Bitcoin fell from its peak essentially to the low today. 45%. That is huge. That is a big pullback. Bitcoin's no stranger to pullbacks though. It makes these massive runs that can last for a couple years, and then it loves to pull back. People love looking at these cycles, so to say. Like on this one, it pulled back 76%. But let's just say that we don't count percentage. Let's just say that we're looking at, the length of the move. We're actually the overall like length of the move is a little bit worse than it was over there right now. Interesting. Sometimes I like to measure those up. You can tell I did it in the past down here at this lower one too. That's funny. But yeah, as we go up, it starts to make, you have to have larger pullbacks for higher percentage moves. So it's not my favorite thing to do, but it's never bad to check out multiple different things, but one of the big things with Bitcoin that I've seen in the short term, and I'm sure you guys have heard it here on the channel quite a bit, is the breakdown of this trend line. This was a massive trend line on the daily chart with Bitcoin, and it recently had a huge breakdown there. And then there was even a short-term trend that started breaking down recently, and it's created this amazing downside opportunity on Coinbase, Strategy, and others. But shout out to everyone that's taken advantage of this, because it has been a great move down. I think I'm closing the put soon. Definitely gonna lock in a lot. Maybe let like 1 or 2 runners go, but IBIT is one that's been fun as well. One that follows Bitcoin more, the Bitcoin Trust ETF from iShares. Saylor got nailed for cooking his books in 2000. I think he's doing it again. MSTR numbers don't make sense. I haven't done a big look at it that way, but he goes, how is buying Bitcoin a company? I see what you're saying. I know, it's weird, isn't it? Your advanced chart for Google doesn't load on Robinhood. Ah, I'm not surprised. Robinhood comes through again. MSTR now trading on a discount to NAV is what you've heard. Oh. MSTR down 9% though. Net asset value, that's what it is. Now that could be. I mean, it's gotten that low. I would not be surprised if people started making calls like that. Just be aware that this could really fall quite a bit. And I don't want you to preemptively buy in too much. But something that could get pretty fun here soon with Strategy is selling some cash secure puts, honestly. I mean, the only problem is it's just such a risky stock. Gosh, it's hard to put like any amount of like serious capital into it whenever, you know, even just to test the recent support, it'll be down like 14%. And I mean, if it makes like a move that like I would say would be fairly normal down to like a next big support around 50, I mean, the stock will be down 60%. So it's pretty bad, I'd say. Pretty crazy. I would be very patient with this one. I would really try to wait for an uptrend to start to establish again with Bitcoin or something before preemptively getting in too early and stuck too high. Hey, appreciate it, GFM. Thanks, Dylan. Appreciate that. Thanks for joining up. Like the positive comments. Palantir selling down now, guys. Down 4.7%. They were very flat for a while, but the flatness turned into more downtrend. Palantir breaking through support. Oh, wow. SM Bot's actually hitting on it. I didn't even see it first on there, but that was a massive drop there again. See if it can move down even more, which I think it can, given how much it's dropped the past couple weeks. How's SPY doing? Ooh, pulling back as well. It seems like SPY is going to be moving down for a possible support break. Let's see how Mag 7 looks at the same time. Definitely not the best at the moment. Nvidia's pulling back, Apple pulled back, Tesla pulled back, Amazon pulled back, Microsoft pulled back, Google pulling back slightly, Meta also pulling back slightly, but the others are definitely down, weighing in on SPY, which, you know, sitting around 680, might end up breaking down through the low of the day, which is just under 679 right now. You predict Bitcoin hitting 67K today. Now that would be a pretty big drop from where I just saw it at. But, you know, it wouldn't be that crazy. Yeah, it pretty much moved down $1,000 in 5 minutes or something. So I guess I could see that. 67K is not far away in retrospect, but it does look pretty bad again, doesn't it? Wow. That chart is disgusting. If you're just now joining up, destroy that like button and subscribe if you're new. Appreciate it as always. I think 68 is supposed to be a big support. Let me scroll out here. I do have 68 to 67 is a big area of support, but honestly this whole range has been pretty big support. Like 74K was a pretty big one. But yeah, like, I mean, if we go back to here, this whole entire range is support if we think about it. It's a huge zone. I definitely like closer to 60K though. Like if I had to pick out anywhere specific, I like 68K and then I like 60K. Those two levels specifically. And 68K actually lines up with this peak as well over here from 2021. So hey, technically, if you want to get Bitcoin at 2021 prices, feel free right now to pick some up. Bitcoin was actually at these levels in November of 2021. That's funny. Funny to say. At this point, Bitcoin's been down for essentially 4 months in a row. I think we are starting to see, you know, a more of a massive sell-off take place, and I do think that we could drop a bit more. I do like, though, the 60K to 50K range. I would love to pick it up there, preferably, but I do see a lot of supports here in the immediate short term, too. What a setup, though. What a setup with Bitcoin. Tesla falling down pretty harshly now. Be ready to shift to the downside again, put players. Like that Palantir dip too. Jake said they keep saying that this is a normal cycle with Bitcoin, but that's not right. Yeah, you know, a lot of people look at these cycles that happen with Bitcoin, and I'm not gonna lie, you know, this isn't like overly uncommon. It's definitely been something that's happened before with Bitcoin, so it's not something to like really freak out about in my mind. But I am a bit worried But at the end of the day, Bitcoin has went through these cycles and it has done fairly well. And I'm not even saying it's in a cycle. I'm just saying that it's had these similar pullbacks before, and it generally is recovered up following the pullback. So I'll be watching for it over the next, like, let's say 6 months to a year to see if it starts to bottom out at all. If we start to see a support establish, might try to grab something with it. You know, we haven't looked at it in a while is like the dollar, DXY, starting to pop back, which recently had a massive drop off. So we are seeing the dollar pop back slightly in the short term. About the US 30-year yield. Oh yeah. Starting to pop back slightly again. Let's look at a mortgage rate chart really quick. I know a lot of people have been upset with mortgage rates and all of that good stuff lately. We're gonna go straight to Freddie Mac for this one. All right, the 30-year FRM 6.1%, 15 is 5.49%. You can see how these mortgage rates have actually been going down. I actually picked a really good time to move, it looks like. I moved at the perfect time. Right when I moved, the rates were like, I remember like literally, now this is pretty weird, like the week that I was signing all the stuff and doing everything, I swear to God, the rates were the lowest in like 2 or 3 years or something like that, they said, or maybe even more. Maybe even more. It was kind of funny though. Now let's zoom out and look at it in a broader sense. We'll say from 08 or so. You know, still fairly high in the broader side of things, but hey, I was trying to play the support, okay? It worked. I'm just kidding. Imagine, I bet some people actually do that. With, of course they do with, you know, the yields and futures and things like that on treasuries even and other markets, but one second, I'm going to down some Gatorade real quick. I actually lied. It was Powerade today. Wow, look at that SPY drop off though. This is looking a bit rough right now. The overall trend is starting to break down more on the daily, and SPY just made a new low of the day. Where's the put players at? Some people out here have to be playing some puts out here. What's wrong with Liquid IV? You know, part of the good reason that I like Powerade and Gatorade is that it actually does have some calories. At least I'm getting like 80 to 100 calories whenever I drink it or more, which is nice. I need those calories, Demir. Give me that sugar. 21 grams of carbs. I didn't realize that there were that much carbs, but it's carbs through sugar, I'm sure. Coconut says cheaper and just as good as Gatorade. You know, I switch it up. You know what's funny? I have both of them sitting right next to me. I have an orange Gatorade and I have a orange Powerade. This is funny. But the Gatorade only has a little bit left and is old. Well, not old, but from yesterday. Powerade claims to have 50% more electrolytes, but I don't know if that's true. Oh yeah, it does. A small bottle of Powerade has as much sodium as a big bottle of Gatorade. Tom, what are you doing to... he said, Tom, when are you going to get yourself a mini fridge so you don't have to keep getting up? I have my daughter, Demure. I'm getting up every second of the day. I'm shorting MES right now. When it failed to break 68.80, it was already over. MES? Oh, micro futures. I see. Well, nice. You should be loving this move then. I actually do have a mini fridge in my bar, Demure. It's actually a pretty far walk to the bar, though. Yeah, you're right. Don't worry, I'll have my office all set up within, like, the next 2 to 3 months or so, probably. I'm going to paint the room. I'm going to soundproof it. I'm going to have all types of stuff done to this room, so it's going to be a fun adventure, that's for sure. Demir said, drinks are on me tonight. Anyone trade ORB strategy, opening range breakouts, waiting for this 15-minute candle to close to the side of taking a trade? I don't really trade those too much, Ray, if I'm being honest. I do like breakout trades in general, but I don't necessarily follow like the specific ORB strategy or anything. I haven't even looked at the exact criteria for those, but I've heard a lot of people ask that over the past couple years, though. So, you know, there could be some maybe opportunity there, of course. Up 45% on a 1 day to expiration Palantir put, Tangy Man says. 45% Palantir puts. Palantir's getting really close to 130 as well. Big drop off today, down 6.4%, accelerating the downside move. There we go. Love it, Tangy Man. Beautiful drop off.
All right, all right, all right.
I had to. Oh, yeah. Yep. More large action with Tesla, too. Really failed to break above 400 earlier and started solidifying this downside move. This really accelerated today. Like, really accelerated. Daily on Tesla looks brutal right now. It really fell through that very large support zone recently, around 414 to 420. Now, I know that we hit on this one a lot yesterday, but my gosh, that was one hell of a drop. And one hell of a support break that really was a level that extended back for a long time. So pretty consistent there. I don't want to be that guy just screaming puts off the top of the balcony, but I don't know what could be more clear today. There could be some good buy the dip opportunities coming up, though, from this move over the next couple months. It would be interesting, you know. February is one of the worst months out there for the market. Let me pull up the chart here really quick. From good old Ryan Detrick on X. Where'd you put it at, Detrick? There you go. So historically, February has been pretty weak. It's actually the second weakest compared to September. February and September are also the only months in which the market historically has went negative. Going back to 1950, even the past 10 years, 20 years. The only weird thing is that during a midterm year, February does tend to do better, but hey, we might be getting a bit of a pullback for maybe a good mid-year boost as we see the weather start to pick up and things get better. SPY's actually coming up very well off the low of the day here. Keep your eyes on that. That's a pretty big 1 minute candle starting to hit back up. I don't see any news right now. Just, you know, it's not that big of a candle. I'm just saying I don't see much anyways. What's up with these funny Super Bowl ad feuds that I'm seeing between Sam Altman and Anthropic? Altman called the Super Bowl ads funny, but clearly dishonest. Anthropic's keeping its chatbot ad-free. Weeks after OpenAI announced it will begin testing ads with some ChatGPT users. Ooh. That's nasty. Ads are coming to AI, but not to Claude. That's their campaign on the Super Bowl ad. That's funny. I want to see the video. Is there a video of it? I can't find a video for it, guys, but here's the headline. All right, back to the market. SPY trying to pop up slightly. Tesla, same deal. Everything starting to slowly see a bit of green here. Doesn't mean that we're going to be uptrending at all, but it does seem like the big slide that we just had is at least experiencing some consolidation coming through now. How's McDonald's doing here in the short term? MCD. Moving up a little bit today again, 1.1%. We're going to check in on, oh yeah, McDonald's new all-time highs, I believe. It technically made all-time highs yesterday, but really extending up to highs today. McDonald's. That's a pretty big rip there. For those of you that know, we are big fans of McDonald's here on the channel. At least I am. I'm not saying Mike is or anybody else, but I'm a big fan. I know Mason's an all right fan, I think. Let me move the book map over here for a second. Dang, Walmart's up 1% too. Flight to safety. Yeah, another Walmart move. I was about to switch to them as well. Walmart moving. Costco. Decent reaction. Kind of moved down today. Target's down. I did see Pepsi and Coke were a little choppy earlier, but it looks like Pepsi came back. Nice. Nice. Pepsi made a comeback. KO. I think Coke is at new highs too, though. Yep. Look at that move with Coke. Scarface would be proud right now. Coke making new highs. Buffett's happy. I can tell you that, I'm sure. Manicured said BK all day, Tom. You know, the next time I eat something like that, it's probably going to be BK. I had good old Culver's last night. McDonald's stock might be good, but the food is gross to me. Yeah, some people don't like it. I'm a fan. I don't mind whenever people act like that. I don't mind if people think that it's, you know, truly gross after they try it or something. But what does bother me is the people that think they're too good for McDonald's or something. Then I kind of get a little bit like, but to each their own, I suppose. If I would have set stop losses for my crap, I would have been up 900 and not 200. Whoa, Bob. Yeah, Bob, that's a crazy one there. I don't know. I've never dealt with like gristle or anything like that. That sounds nasty though. If that happened to me, I probably wouldn't want it much more either, at least for a few days. I'm glad the stock is moving though. It's a good sign. It's a good sign. How's Wendy's doing actually? And maybe even Yum Brands. Wendy's I know is a volatile one. Holy. Look at Wendy's dying off here. Remember whenever Wendy's went nuts during the meme stock craze? They had this massive sell-off, came all the way back, and then they had this one day where they capped up like 30% or something, and people were going nuts on it for a little while. Yeah, it was like close to 30%, and it has done nothing since then. Wow. Pretty terrible move. Doesn't Warren Buffett love McDonald's? Yeah, he likes McDonald's. Trump likes McDonald's too, a lot. Not the... Now half the people in here are gonna hate McDonald's. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know who else likes it, but I know that it's pretty popular. I'm a big fan of the chicken there more than anything. I'm not really like a huge burger guy there. I like a Big Mac every once in a while, but I'm mainly chicken. Oh, and McRibs. I forgot about that one. 328. This is a big move. 1.15% with McDonald's. 327.50. It might make a new high of the day here and push to that new all-time high. It's right there. They said, Curve says, should I sell my house and short the market? Yes, I think you should. No, of course I'm kidding. No. Definitely not. Joe Papa said steak, egg, and cheese bagel. Yeah, you know, McDonald's is really good for breakfast. I'll say that. I'll say that. I'm a big breakfast guy there. More than anything, I don't even really like the regular food as much. I like it, but it's not my favorite. But the breakfast there, though, is like a godsend for me. That's... Series up 11.43%. Sirius XM on earnings. Wow. Looks like they're on a big support zone that I've marked out in the past. Oh yeah, they just bounced off a big zone. We had some calls called out on this one back in May of 25. It looks like that did okay for a few months, actually. Whoa, is it really, Steve? It's not that much, but I get the bacon, egg, and cheese bagel all the time, and that one's like, I don't know, $6 or something. But I think if you get the meal, it turns it into like, 12 or something. SNDK is eating. SanDisk down 2.6%. Wow, that is a weird move for SanDisk today. It's a volatile stock, and today it had another up and down, very volatile style move. SNDK is testing support from this morning. SPYs just made a new low of the day again. There we go. Another good breakdown. After actually holding its ground for a little bit, it really died off there. That is a rough move to see. Like I said, sorry for screaming about puts every second of the day today, but it just continues to be where the money's at. Also, CVS with an upcoming earnings next week. Yeah, well, tomorrow we'll look at the earnings whispers lineup that they're going to come out with, but you said CVS. I don't look at CVS too closely, but I know that their stock was moving up well today. The earnings is next Wednesday. Okay. Got it. How's that economic calendar looking here? Jolts hit at 10 a.m. today, but the market, I guess it did start selling off pretty well right there. It was already moving down into it, but that really helped solidify the move, I guess. Definitely added fuel to the fire, fanned the flame, as they might say. You're excited for tomorrow, All Night says. Sentiment definitely getting shaky, but I saw a ton of opportunity in drops. Something that sucks about the economic calendar for tomorrow is that there was scheduled to be a lot of jobs data that isn't going to come out now till next Wednesday. Now it's coming out Wednesday, February 11th, instead of this Friday. But this Friday, we are going to get Michigan consumer sentiment data tomorrow. So be ready for that. On the earnings side tomorrow morning, CGC, the marijuana stocks reporting. Be ready there. Centene is going to report too. Ticker symbol CNC. This stock has had a lot of wild action lately. There's a big money trade back from July that has done pretty well. Now, if earnings go south here, it's going to be really tough on that big money trade that expires January 15th of 27. Now, this one from September was a lot better. Pretty much sniped the bottom. A $1.7 million play. Now, with this top play that was $58 million, they only held a very small amount of that. It was not anywhere close to $58 million. I think it was $16 million. Something closer to that range. They said, ouch, AMD. Advanced money destroyer selling off again. Broke through 200 here the past couple days, and oh yeah, big drop off here today. That is a rough move. AMD, now that's selling off right there. That's adding some good pressure to the SPY, which is really falling down now, 676. That's a pretty big pullback, guys. We're well under the trend now with SPY, that's for sure. Wow, the higher low trend is starting to test here, guys. SPY is getting close to a major support at 676. This is a huge zone of support. Let's see how the support plays out. That is a good area of support there. All right, I put the Gatorade down and I'm now drinking a Mountain Dew Amp today. Bit of a different drink for the morning, but hey, with all this bearish price action, it has me a little amped up, so to say. Sorry about that. I couldn't get the can to pop right. Cheap cans. What do you think about Nvidia leap calls on the daily time frame? There is SPY trying to hold that zone. Nvidia daily leap calls. Let's see. I mean, I'm not a huge fan with how this market's been going right now. You could really try to play this support hold here, but my gosh, if it breaks down, you better be ready. You could try to snipe it. Like, if you could somehow enter, like, right on, like, a 170 touch or something, I think the risk reward could be okay there, but wow, SPY right off that support that we just marked up a few minutes ago. That's a big level from the past couple weeks, seriously. We talked about this level last night. Steven says, I don't drink, but I contribute quite a bit to the pot stocks. All Night Gamer said same. Shotgunning a Mountain Dew? No. I'm not shotgunning it, but it's like a Mountain Dew energy drink. It's not very popular. It's called Mountain Dew Amp. With such a strong push down, do you expect a whipsaw next week? No, I'm not really looking for a total whipsaw move yet. Not quite yet. I don't love the way in which the SPY is breaking through this channel here. I'm definitely a bit worried that we're going to be getting a bigger sell-off coming into play in the shorter term. February is also a bearish month, so I'm not really looking for like a huge whipsaw. Although, you know, there's gonna be green days mixed into a downtrend. So just keep that in mind. Like, even if we look at, let's say, this downtrend that occurred on SPY recently, you know, it did kind of whipsaw back, but I don't know if you'd mean like, you know, whipsaw like tomorrow back up slightly or something like that. If you do, I mean, in the short term, anything like that can happen, but I think we're still in a broader downtrend rather than like truly whipsawing and you know, getting back towards highs or something. All Night Gamer says that they think the software sell-off is pretty similar to the quantum sell-off back around October. Yeah, the problem is that the software sell-off has actually been ongoing for a while. It just started to really accelerate with certain companies, and of course Anthropic just rocked the whole sector again. But like Adobe, for example, you know, it's been bad. It's been bad even before Anthropic. Because, you know, people knew that things like Anthropic were kind of coming in some ways. Now, some stocks that got hit especially hard in the short term, like Moody's. What was another one? SPGI. S&P Global. Like data companies, things like that are really what are seeing the brunt of it in the immediate short term. VIX calls are looking at, you said VIX calls is looking at in some way. You mean starting to look good? Yeah, VIX is starting to come up off of its lower range pretty well here. That's actually a really good move with VIX. That's a good point. You know, we should be watching UVXY and SPXS right now. These stocks can move pretty good whenever the market does drop. UVXY is up 8.4% today, and even better than it being up today, if you go from the low of the day to the high of the day, oh well, it's still only 8% or so, but sometimes you'll see like intraday swings that are like 10% plus. What's your thoughts on Tesla leap calls on the daily time frame? I just answered that earlier, didn't I? Or did I not? I'm not a huge, maybe I didn't answer it good. I'm not a huge fan of the calls at this moment. I'm really not. Whenever I look at Tesla leap calls and, you know, we look at the daily, I think Tesla could pull back a lot right now. There's a clear double top. I would be patient. I would wait for a bigger pullback, especially as Elon starts to shift into robotics and stuff. I think it's going to cost Tesla in the short term. But I do think that there could be good opportunity coming after, you know, things get more solidified. The problem is that nobody can really be patient. Everybody sees like a very small, quick drop, and then they immediately want to get in for the long term or something. A lot of newer traders haven't really experienced pullbacks like this with Tesla. You know, like a 55% pullback from essentially 500, which is where we're bouncing again here. So I would be very, very patient there, and I would definitely give it more time. I think you could get in at much better prices than where you're at now. But that shift to robotics is cool, and I feel like coming up in the future, that could be pretty fun. I can't wait for SpaceX to IPO. That's where I think the fun's going to be. Now, I have a bad thing with SpaceX. Whenever SpaceX does IPO, you guys are going to have to be very careful trading it. I'm serious. I think that there's going to be a lot of people get burned in some bad ways with SpaceX. Number one, whenever the IPO happens, don't get in after the IPO and buy in after it already ran up, like, let's say 500% or something. Be very careful if you do. But I would be very wary of how you get in on the IPO. If you can actually get into like the IPO itself, then go ahead. But if it's like the post IPO pricing, I wouldn't touch it, especially if it's super high. Something else with Tesla that I think is going to be, or sorry, SpaceX that I think is going to be tough, is we have to realize that they're going to be doing a bunch of different launches and tests of, let's say, Falcon 9s and engines and testing certain things. And now whenever these tests go bad, you're going to see the stock move probably. Like if, people are going to be all watching this big launch and it might explode 30 seconds after takeoff or something, and the stock falls 20% in 5 minutes. And not necessarily that much, but you get the point, kind of. It could be that much in that amount of time. I wish I have. Is Virgin Galactic still traded? What was that ticker symbol there? SPCE, that's what it was. It is still traded. I almost can't believe it. Now, this is no SpaceX, but when Virgin Galactic was going wild, they would have these massive run-ups, like in anticipation of like a launch, like 500%, and then things might not go right. And then the stock falls like 70% in a month, or, here, oh my gosh, they're launching commercially again or something, 300% rip. But then, as it comes out, maybe there was a weather delay with the launch or something, down 76% then over the next few months. Like, it was getting pretty strange. Like, there was always something like that. And it's not just Virgin Galactic, but this is one of the ones that happened recently that I've seen this happen with and affect things a bit more. So I would definitely be careful. I think it's going to be a very fun IPO, a very fun stock, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot of gambling going on with those events, and I could see some big blow-ups happening. I think if SpaceX IPOs, I'll probably try to grab some of the IPO if I can get in at, pre-IPO pricing, or, get in on the IPO itself, then I would be pretty happy. But I don't want to get in though, like at elevated prices or anything. So if it gets too high, then I'll cut it. And also if it IPOs and like has, let's say that they give me, let's just randomly throw it out there, let's just say like they give me $50 a share, but then like it IPOs and then it finally goes live and it's all the way up to like, I don't know, if it's up a significant amount, I'll just dump it right away. I might shoot myself in the foot, not be able to get the OpenAI IPO afterwards or something. If it works out that way, I have no idea, but what if SpaceX/XAI merges with Tesla? Now that would be pretty wild. I think that would shake things up quite a bit. I don't think that they'll do that, but you never know. That would definitely make it very weird. A lot of different strings in one in one place. Now, it wouldn't be the only company with a lot of strings in one place, but I should say lots of strings in lots of places, but it's a weird situation if that happens. Because in that case, like, let's say Tesla's where all their revenue comes from, people might not care as much about, let's say, a pullback with something like a rocket explosion or something. Back to that SPY. 1 minute inverse head and shoulders, question mark. It's not really a true inverse head and shoulders. If it was, it would hold up. It would have held right here, but it didn't hold there. It actually fell under to like the bottom area of support. I think overall what we're truly seeing here is just more of a base and range trying to form here within this zone. It doesn't look bad though. It's kind of that, it's just about there for that setup. And an inverse head and shoulders kind of is like a base forming at the beginning, so it's definitely close. It's just not perfect. If this low of day gives out, we'll know the setup on that type of, if you're looking for that type of setup, then it would be over for sure. But if it holds here and starts really ripping through 678.50, that'll be kind of confirming the head and shoulders. So it's interesting how SPY's stuck in this range, though. It'll be an interesting test to see which way it starts to run. I'm sure there's some people still looking for it to run down as well, but I'm sure there's also lots of support players here at the same time. Yeah, I day trade SPY every once in a while. Normally in like the middle of the afternoon, somewhere around there. Fairly rarely though. I like to really be selective with that. But on days like yesterday, it's hard not to, or Tuesday, I should say. LUNR, a trip to the dark side of the moon. They landed it, but it fell on its side and the stock dropped 40%, James said. Imagine that. Imagine like you're watching it like live or something and you're seeing like a live feed and you see this thing land and like the stock explodes and it like goes up like 20% in like a short time frame. And then a gust of wind comes through and it falls over and the stock goes down like 40%. My gosh, that would be pretty funny, honestly, to witness. Not funny for the people who made it, but funny for us. Mr. James said you mainly do longer options, right? Not like longer options, but I short a lot of options. Take advantage of like higher implied volatility. I don't get too crazy into the Greeks. I mainly just look at the stock movement and then implied volatility to kind of get a good gauge there, but Really a big fan of selling covered calls on longer term stock positions. I'm a really big fan of grabbing shares through the use of selling put options, but then also at the same time, besides just selling put options, I'm also a big fan of covered calls once you get the shares as well, which is running the wheel strategy. But I'm definitely a really big fan of like share positions, entering on the way down and like really like letting them ride for the longer term, but then using options at the same time. And then of course, there's some points where, you might decide instead of share positions, let's say that you're catching a really good area of support, you're sniping, something like that. You can catch some really good support bounces with, let's say, I'm not going to call them leaps, but like, let's say 3 to 6 month out options. Some people might call that leaps. Really, I mean, I think a leap needs to be a year or more personally, but I trade calendar spreads. That's a good question. Generally not, Ray. Generally not. Mike talks about those quite a bit on the live Q&As, though. It's not something I personally get into too often. Probably ran like just a handful in my lifetime, honestly. But whenever I think about trades, I do like spread trading. I generally just go straight up like call debit spreads or put debit spreads, but every once in a while we'll run credit spreads up. It just depends. Depends on the environment, what you're really looking for there. I do like strangles from time to time too. Especially whenever you're looking for like you say, like let's say you identify a really good channel, right? That's kind of what I'm a big fan of there. Let's see the news. Ray had to pay for school, can't do the program anymore, can't do the trading floor anymore. He said no more Q&A. Yeah, they can be expensive, Ray. They can be. Now, if it's just expensive, I mean, I guess it just depends like what stock you're looking at, and your account size depends, I guess, like how expensive it really is relative to where you're at. You watch the covered call videos in Discord and I still don't get it. That's why I love futures. It's like trading for dummies. Just follow market structure. Futures is pretty tough, actually. A lot of people have trouble comprehending futures from what I've noticed over the years. Futures is actually where I started, Steven. That's where I started trading, was futures on Ninja Trader, actually. Very first thing I ever traded, Ninja Trader futures. It was pretty cool. I kind of wish my journey started differently, but I guess it just, hey, it's how the cookie crumbles, right? If I could go back in time and choose my own journey, I would definitely have gotten into options, and specifically selling options in more of like a long-term sense with getting shares, running the wheel, stuff like that, man, I would have taken advantage of that way more. Too bad, so sad though. Don't dwell on the past. Look ahead to the future. There were a few times where, you know, even I, like in the very beginning, blew up a couple accounts, and it was pretty brutal a couple times. One time on futures, another time, the VXX got me. The VIX got me one time. I was shorting the VIX, doing a short VIX strategy, and my God, Trump had to do some China bullshit back in the day, and boom, there goes that play. One of them at the time was like 30K, Ray. The other one was like 20K. On one of them, there was a big event that occurred, and I was holding S&P 500 futures, and it went the wrong way, and essentially within the matter of 2 hours blew up 20 grand or 25 grand. And then with VXX, over the course of a few days, Trump did something with China in his first term, and we saw a quick market pullback, and VXX exploded. And when it exploded, blew up like 25 grand to 30 grand again. So it was a couple rough ones. Now the VXX one was a bit of a weird strategy that really I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I had no idea that you even had to pay short interest fees, right? I had no idea even on that at the time. You know, it was very, very dumb. A very dumb thing to do as a newer trader, but it was how it worked out. But then I started really putting in the time to truly learn and truly, you know, trade in a much better way. Shout out to Mike. I remember Mike was like, man, I don't know how you're even still here. he was like, I bet 99% of people would have quit after those two things. Thank God I didn't though, because third time was the charm. But it took those bad losses to really finally buckle down. Like, I'll be honest, like, I was probably that dumb kid that would have argued with you all day up and down about, you know, something being right or wrong, or who knows. How'd I meet Mike? At the time, Mike was very young, but he was getting going here, and I was in a different Facebook group, and I noticed that Mike was in there, and he private messaged me about doing options, and I ended up banning Mike from that group, or getting him banned. And then a couple months later, I went back and messaged Mike back and said something, and yeah, it just kicked off from there. Palantir down. New low of the day, guys. Palantir down over 8% now. Tom plus Mike storyline video is a must. I'd pay to see that. That would be pretty cool one day. We'll have to put that in our list. All right, guys, give me 1 minute. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to take a quick, like, 3 to 4 minute break, maybe. I have no more Powerade left. My amp is almost gone. And I'm going to go hug my daughter real quick. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. We are back, and we are in action. My fault, guys. Everybody destroy that like button while you're at it. Subscribe if you're new. Got Tom withdrawals. Full pour SQQQ. Oh, how dare you, Ray? Don't do that as the QQQ and the SPY start to rise. SPY really likes this 676 support from the past few days. My word. Excuse me. Start investing to save money for a new PC. Hey, that sounds cool. Mine just broke. I just got it back. It broke while I was moving. Somehow I broke it. But hey, we're all good now. Everything seems to be going pretty well. AMD's red, Intel's blue. Nvidia's always green, buddy. They do have that green logo. That is funny. They all three have different color schemes. They probably did that on purpose. Man, that AMD comeback, though, is really nice. No, I used to be a gamer all night. I've got like 2,500 hours on DayZ and like 1,000 on Tarkov. And then I also play... The only game that I do play is old school RuneScape nowadays. That's the only game that I play. Every once in a while, I'll play Forza Horizon. Yeah, Tarkov for real. That game used to be really cool. I had my daughter, though, and ever since I had my daughter, I have not gamed, like, at all. The only thing I've done, like I said, is RuneScape and maybe a little bit of, like, PGA 2K Tour or PGA 2K25 or something. That'll be it. Yeah, you know, with Tarkov, everybody, like, we would have cheaters sometimes, you know? But whenever I played with my friends, I'm just gonna be honest, like, it was, like, one of the funnest experiences I ever had. It was pretty fun. And then also, DayZ was pretty good, too. No, it probably got worse. Make your decisions on a higher time frame, like the 1 hour or 4 hour for your 5-minute entry. That's interesting. It's not bad to look at multiple setups, but yeah, friends make it fun for sure. Speaking of games, how's Take-Two doing? I have not looked at them in a while, but they are really selling off now. Wow. If you thought you missed the uptrend for Take-Two, you might want to check it out here soon. Wow, that's a big sell-off, guys. I guess it's kind of selling off with everything, but pretty steep. Yeah, Kai. I'm in quite a few. You know, of course, there's always something going on, right? One of the big ones lately has been a big UPS swing. That's been a nice one. Novo was one that has now came actually down to almost stopping out. If it falls under the range here, that's going to be a bad one. That was a share play, though. All Night Gamers looking at NIO up 6.64%. Of course, Intel has been a fun hold from the bottom, too. But, again, just good holds. You've been testing your AI server during the stream. The music it generates is really good. Then I delete the songs because it's too easy now. The music industry is screwed. That's funny. This channel that I'm watching here, this is probably all AI music. They put out new stuff every day. I don't think that you could do that realistically. You can generate a new song in seconds now. That's pretty funny. I know a lot of people who look into doing stuff like that on AI. You know what's funny? I have a funny story about AI from recently. My mom has been posting on Facebook all the time. She's like really into this like ChatGPT making like a caricature of you, or is that how you say it? A caricature? It's very strange. You know, some older and middle-aged people using AI. Yeah, it's pretty funny. She's like really into it right now, and she thinks it's like this really cutting edge thing that it like turns her picture into like a caricature. It's really weird. I don't know what it is, but like, yeah, so every once in a while I've seen stuff that's like that that's funny. Like you said, 60 to 70s are kind of doing it. Yeah, my mom's in the 60s. Yep. My brother is a graphics artist. He uses AI. He is very concerned for his profession now. I don't blame him. Yeah, I'd be concerned too. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. Yeah, Steven, if you're day trading and stuff, you know, I think that, like you said, I mean, you're pretty good there. Yeah, no theta. It definitely makes, it's definitely better that way. You just can't trade like individual stocks, which kind of sucks, but some people don't want to anyways, so. But of course, everybody's different. You're gonna keep watching the videos in Discord, you'll get there. Yeah, and you know, ask questions too. Ask questions as well. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and call the stream there today. The SPY really held 676. Let's go. That was a big support that we called out earlier. SPY's ended up holding it. That was great to see. Wow. What a hold. What a move. What a move. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for joining up, everybody. Had a lot of fun talks today. You guys always get me amped up for McDonald's. I don't know what it is, but somehow every day it comes up. Alrighty, guys. Have a great rest of the day. I'll talk to you later. See you guys.